Welcome to Lifted Living, episode 3, Distilled Water, with Kevin Bigley and Austin Hughes, and Stelly. She's going to be walking around, being cute. Now, this is mainly your topic. You got me into this. I know you just took some notes on stuff you wanted to discuss. So, how do you want to start this one out?
It's fun and enjoyable as it should be. There's lots of benefits in knowing you can increase the water, but with the right water, and achieve a lot of peace, balance in your life.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm 100% on board with this distilled water concept. I mean, I've been drinking only distilled water for a long time. I'm currently on an intermittent fast where I only drink distilled water all day and eat one meal a day, and I can tell you the benefits are amazing. Increased energy, feeling good, positivity, it's very nice. So why don't you go into a little bit of, how exactly that's happening when you drink distilled water and why distilled water is better than, let's say, spring water or other types of water.
Yeah. I want people to see just adding more volume of water and more frequently is really how you do it in a simple view. So you wake up, a few glasses, then the food. So you always have this stream of water coming in inside the meals to pull them in for the elimination of it. But if you want to know the differences of the water on a small scale, if you go into the water, distilled water means not still. So it's positive and positive. They're bouncing off each other like a magnet, two sides of magnets. Okay. And on a small level, they're constantly, it's high energy water. And it's very easy to convert to the body's needs if you had a gallon a day distilled water stream coming.
But can you touch on, why distilled water is better than, let's say alkaline or spring water?
It is the pure. It's the purest. It's 0 parts per million. The cells want just pure water only.
Right.
If you're a cell breathing, you would only want just pure water. There's youthing effects that can happen. The wrinkle.
I mean, you can see that in youth,
But
you
the water
look very
also
young.
creates it's a conduit for the spiritual side kind of to come into you. Man. Yeah. More intuition. People have reported. Yeah. So the water is element, the most principle to life. It's symbolic for wisdom.
So you're saying since, distilled water is 0 parts per million, which means, it's the purest form of water, whereas spring water might have, unwanted bacteria or other things like that. And maybe, what about alkaline water? Because I've heard alkaline water is some of the best water you can get. So why would distilled water be better than alkaline water?
The body wants to keep the blood plasma platelets a certain type of environment. And just the pure distilled water with nothing else suspended in it, no other inorganic mineral or anything like that, is the easiest to make to the highest energy state, I guess. So you can drink the hard water, different water, the alkaline water. But this alkaline acid balance the body's trying to seek and harmonize with, all the testimonies are talking about. It's the best balancing and harmonization.
So distilled water is essentially the best form of water for you to drink.
It's what nature produces. It mimics the hydrologic cycle. Evaporation, condensation.
Right. And what distilled means, for the people that don't know, is that the water is literally evaporated so that all of the dense material is left behind, and it's the purest of the pure that comes back down and is collected. And it really, it cleans you out. I mean, if you drink a lot of it, what I would recommend, and I think Biggs would agree, is that if you drink enough to where your pee becomes clear, that's when you know you're really getting some serious, detoxing going on. And all you have to do is drink a lot of water. It's very healthy for you. Cut out the soda, cut out the, other stuff. I mean,
The best I felt is only water.
yeah,
Actually, no other drink.
yeah, 100.
You can
100%.
spice stuff in, but I felt the best on it though.
Honestly, I drink during the day, like I said, mostly 100% distilled water. If anything else, sometimes kombucha. I like to have a kombucha here and there to kind of like, get some probiotics in my stomach. But
So now you have more water volume coming in every day. Now you have the capability of solving the acidity problem, buffering.
right,
So it helps with the intake, stuff coming in for utilization, and with the elimination. So very inexpensive.
yeah. I mean, a
Wait,
gallon of
listen
distilled
to
water is
just-
like less than $1. So,
it's one of having the water piece is one
or
of
you
the-
can buy a distiller. We talked about that in the last video. We have a link in Lifted Living episode 2 for distiller. We can also throw it in this one just because it's more appropriate. But what are some of the big points you wanted to
benefits or
touch on?
detox
Yeah,
symptoms or
yeah,
what?
yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Whatever you want. You take control. What are we going to talk on next?
You gotta get your mind to be resilient. You will hit a wall and you're running a marathon. Don't you think? The detox symptoms, when it starts to loosen everything and it starts to really start cleansing from you, due to the water being so pure, it's grabbing everything and clinging it to it, moving it out. You'll feel crazy headache, nausea.
At first.
Yep. But that's because it's getting loosened up and you're feeling it. That's where. Then you break through that, and then that's where the main benefit.
And I think this is an important point is that, when you first start drinking distilled water heavily, don't get discouraged if you feel bad for the first part of it, because literally what it is the toxins are being released, so you're experiencing the toxins being active in your body, but you're flushing them out. So they're being released, they're partially active, and then they're being flushed out. So don't get discouraged by feeling, not that great at first. Just know it's working, okay? And the distilled water is doing its job.
You'll inherently know within the first month or so of doing the gallon a day. You'll know intuitively that it does work. It'll keep growing you, and you'll feel this light inside of you, and you'll know that you are light. And it's just remembrance kind of that it brings on because of the water. The spiritual side interacts with it so much because there's nothing there obstructing it. So the more clean you can get, the more energy. So just see the water as energy. If I have more water, I'm gonna have more energy.
That is very true. Right.
It's kind of simple, think about it like that.
Right. All right. What's the next point you want to touch on from your notes?
Well, harmony is something that's there through the water. The water is the medium. Let's look at nature. Anywhere where there's a stream or a swamp, there's always life around. When there's no water, and there's no life. So
Right.
it's almost like this life comes through the water. The medium.
It does.
So,
I mean,
Big
memory,
water.
mem means light and ori means water.
oh yeah.
So, I mean, literally life is light and water put together. I mean, so the sun kind of fits into, the water
They all need
aspect.
each other, though.
Yeah,
They're all different though,
Yeah.
but they all work together.
yeah, I mean, you can't have life without one or the other. Water or light or both combined is how life is created. So it is obviously essential to the human
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
And the purest form is distilled. The best form is distilled.
Yeah. Our body makes water in the mitochondria, but it doesn't make enough to live. So water is the only element that we crucially need.
Right.
Instead of giving it this water that has carrying a huge load of inorganic minerals, chemicals, maybe pollutants, whatever, it's putting yourself at a disadvantage to have to deal with that entire bag, and it ends up, lowering your immunity, yielding less energy from it. I've even heard of people in their 40s and 50s regrowing hair
Wow.
from even doing the store-bought plastic gown.
Right. Okay, so since you say store-bought plastic, what's the best alternative? Like, what
If you don't have a countertop distiller,
countertop distiller? Like, so you're saying invest in a good distiller that's gonna.
that's
do
good
a
for one
job.
or two people. If you got 3 or 4 people in your house, you need to get a bigger one that makes like
Right.
7 gallons a day or
Right.
a little bit higher price.
Run it overnight when you're sleeping is preferable because it takes a long time for it to actually process and distill it because it's it's doing a good job obviously, so it takes time.
Yeah, the drip right there. Yeah.
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 So, anything else you want to touch on from your notes before we close?
Well, we can further clarify what you can see or what the benefits are. Any cold or immunity problem or any something you come across. Just know you have water as a weapon, as a tool in your arsenal. To just go less with the food, increase the water volume, and let the water carry it, buffer it, take it out. You'll breathe it out.
And actually, that's one
And,
point I kind of did
so
want to touch
you
on.
can calm down knowing that there's really not much you can come across that's going to be too much for water to be able to handle.
Right. And this gets to a point that I kind of forgot I wanted to touch on is water fasts, distilled water
That's
fasts.
the big key, man. That's the big one. Man.
Have you yourself done any? And if you have, what
I've
benefits?
done over a day, yeah.
Okay.
I haven't done a 7 day. I
But-
want to.
Right.
You got a building.
So what benefits
I've
come
pushed-
from doing a distilled water fast? Like, what?
The body stops using. It goes into ketosis. So it's a different Krebs cycle. It's a different process on how the electron flow comes in.
Right.
So it stops using the bloodstream supply when there's no more there. There's no more like amino acids stored in the bloodstream from the digestive tract being empty. Then it goes into this other mode that pulls from the reserves and it starts burning. That's why you thin up. If you can stay 7 days or 14 days.
I've heard
But
people
it's a
doing
crazy-
40 days. I mean,
Crazy
in the last
mental
episode,
prep. I heard you got to do it 1 day and then go green juices. and
right? You
raw
can't just
food,
go into a 40-day
Build
fucking
the
water
3-day,
fast.
Then Nutrify again for a week, and then do a 7 day. Then
Right.
Nutrify
Work
for 2
up
weeks.
to it. Work
then
up
you can
to
do.
it. Right. Now, we talked about in the last episode that the Sun Yogi, with the sunlight and the distilled water, went for over a year.
Yeah.
You said
Yeah.
411 days, right?
Yeah.
Without eating?
Yeah. There's 2
And then
universities.
111 days another time. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, he walked around for 6 years with no food, no money in India, just telling people about it. And then,
Wait, hold
and
on,
then it
hold
was
on a second.
Sun Yogi's story. You want to hear?
you said he didn't eat, you're saying
Yeah.
now that he didn't eat for over 6 years?
Yeah. So we can look it up. It's there. He lived in South India. He used to work at this farm by the ocean, and when he was like 18 or 20 or something, one day he had a revelation. He just started seeing it and doing it, and then a few months into it, he realized he could go, fast pretty long on it, and he ended up doing 6 years. Then he was training so much people, it was too much on him, and then he did a 2-year retreat in the Himalayas with nothing, just went up there. And he said his body could exist in too cold, too windy, too hot of an environment. And then he came back and he's still teaching now.
So in other words, the human body is almost like a fucking snake. Like we can go months and eat just maybe once a month. Like if we really wanted to. Obviously, you got to incorporate
it can
the water.
adapt. Yeah, it can adapt. Yeah.
That's some incredible stuff. So, all right. So we covered the benefits of distilled water. We covered fasting on distilled water. We covered, why distilled water is better than other types of water.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would want to cover before we close this one out? For the people at home watching.
water helps the energy come in and to maintain it. So a two-way street there with the mental, psychic, intuitive side, then more like your light just gets turned on. You can feel and sense more things from
Like
the
a
water.
sixth sense almost?
Yeah, from the water.
Wow.
And think about everything you eat or drink is going to flush through and flow through the pineal right here, through everything. So think about clean water, just flush. It's gonna chip off. You can get something stuck on a plate, you know, you leave it for a couple days, the water, a little bit layer will come on, more water, the next layer. So just know that once you get on the water, it'll start to chip and loosen everything.
Right.
And it's just a ride like this. Torque. Get back and just ride it up. You will. Yeah. Then you can press forward.
Yeah.
Work with the fast.
And this kind of flows into our next video, which is going to be a video that's going to be on fasting and diet and nutrition. Because, you know, this guy has taught me so much about just eating to live versus living to eat. And he's taught me a lot about how to feel better and how to, you know, be more nutritious. So I think that's going to be a very beneficial episode for all you guys. I think we're going to do that one.
I'm down
next.
to do it, man. I'm down to do it.
I mean, we're talking about a guy that, you know, doesn't brush his teeth. He uses, you know, ginger and swishes it around in his mouth, and you know, all that. Like he's got some very unorthodox methods, but I think they're very beneficial and awesome. And I think it would be awesome for you guys to check it out. So definitely stay tuned. Watch out for that next episode. And this has been Lifted Living with Kevin Biggs, Bigley, and Austin Hughes. We hope you enjoyed it. Y'all have a good one.